All right. Shalom, shalom, family. Uh, this your brother Naya Code. Um, take that off real quick. I'm gonna do this video, and I'm gonna speak from the heart, from experience, really. Um, Considering what I've been through, you know, um, and considering what time it is right now. So, if I could put this in perspective, all praises to the Most High. If I can't, just know that I'm trying to do my best here. Because sometimes when you get to the spiritual realm, it's hard to put things to words um, because things go beyond words. Um, Everything is enhanced with feeling and, intuition and things like that. So, I'm going to do my best to explain it. Okay? And it's not just a few of us, but a lot of us. Actually, we all going through this exact same thing. If only we could somehow pinpoint it. If only we could somehow, put it into proper perspective. It would actually, help because it's about understanding you. It's about learning you. It's about knowing you. Okay, and typically, this is about bad thoughts versus good thoughts. Bad thoughts and where do they come from? Good thoughts and where do they come from? Okay? How to control bad thoughts and how to generate good thoughts. Um, and I'm going to do my best to go off of experience. Okay? I remember telling y'all in the series that I'm doing about finding God that I dealt with suicidal thoughts. Okay? Now, as a kid, I couldn't tell, how I was able to overcome. But, with the mind that I have now, I know exactly how I was able to overcome, and I guess I'm going to share some techniques that I use um, to deal with my bad thoughts and learn about my good thoughts. And hopefully this will help somebody out there. I have one person who gave, one of my viewers who requested that I talk about this topic. So I sat on it for some days. If y'all ask me to talk about topics, I'm going to sit on them. And I'm going to let the Most High deal with my thoughts. And then I'm going to come through and I'm going to talk about them, to the best of my ability, not promising anything extravagant, but, I'll do the best that I can. And the best way for me to get y'all to understand is for me to explain to you how I see myself within. Okay? Now, I have a system, a body, an operation, a function that operates and it manifests through the body that you see, through all this. Everything about me manifests through that. This is a function. Blinking my eye, that's a function. The words I'm telling you, the way that I'm talking to you, speaking to you, that's also a function that requires my voice box along with my tongue and the wind of my breath, in order to project the sound to you, so that you can hear what I have to say. All praises to the Most High that He blessed us with these seemingly simple yet needful functions. And when it comes down to it, When I look at myself, y'all, I see that I have a body. And my body tells me many things. Okay? When I go to the gym and I work out, my body tells me how much I can lift. Right? And it tells me that I have a limit. When I lift, it tells me that there's resistance. You know, and when I lift, do repetitions, you know, over and over again, I feel a pain, and therefore my body begins to tell me that this hurts. And then I think about all those things, and those are just simple things. I mean, there's my body. At one point, I had lust in my flesh. You know, I was able to get that out, where I don't have my body's risen far a little. My body has risen quite high above my fleshly nature, and I'm about to, you know, take you up, so that you know what I mean when I say my body has lifted high above the carnal nature. But my body does things that my mind perceives, and my consciousness puts it to words and tells me what this or that is. Okay? I work out. My consciousness tells me all the different aspects of the information that comes from what happens when I work out. You know, I wake up in the morning. My body tells me I'm awake. You know, though the brain never sleeps. You know, and these are thoughts generated from the machine, the system that I live in. Okay? And then I look at the world also, because a little lower than my flesh is the world external from me. You know, and I look at the world, and the world tells me that there's, you know, and I do a lot of videos as well on the end times and things like that. And it's all bad because we live in an age that's all bad. You would like to say, hey, Brother Anaya, don't you see anything good? Yeah, that's why I obey and keep the scriptures. That's why I follow the Father with all my heart. Yes, I do see something good, and He's only one. And He means good for each and every one of us. Okay? So, I get into it, and I see that there are also information that comes from the external world. Information that comes from my body, my flesh. There's information that comes from my flesh. Then there's information that comes from the external world. And from the external world comes the worst and most horrific information that I could ever... Things even my body would never tell me. You know? From the external world. And then the external world tries to deceive me and tells me that I'm that. But then I denied that and said, no, I'm not the world. My flesh tries to deceive me and tells me that I'm that. And I said, no, I'm not you. You're a machine. You're meant for my use. You're a beast of burden. Okay? That's all you are. You're meant to do my bidding. Okay? So I put my flesh in check after I put the world in check. Now, I'm about to go higher because this is where the suicidal thoughts come in. Now, what's higher than the flesh? Can y'all feel it? Do y'all know? What's higher than the flesh? Consciousness. Now, consciousness is always talking. There's always a conversation in consciousness. And consciousness tells me so many different things from the information that comes from the world and my body. When I see a strong man coming up against me, ready to fight me, even kill me if anything. And I see that he's stronger than me. First of all, that information is a lie. And he tells me that he's stronger than me and he's going to kill me. And then the fear that comes within me from observing this information, that's a lie. When I was young and I went through, I'm going to tell you the exact thing that caused me to have suicidal thoughts was this. I was in a world that was full of evil at a young age. I didn't like it. I didn't want anything to do with the world. It hated me. I hated it. Every time I went out, I was damn near in a fight with somebody every single day. Okay? And the thing that the straw that broke the camel's back was, it was one day, I told y'all my mom was sick. Okay? And I did something that caused my mom to go into she was hard of breathing, okay? And anytime she got upset or worked up, it got worse. She had to get on a breathing treatment, things like that, it got worse. And one day I was the cause of it getting worse. And my dad turned around and told me, you see what you did? You made your mama sick. You did this. You're the cause of this, And I'm young, and I'm loving on my mama with everything I got, you feel me? And for my dad to turn to me and tell me that directly to my face hurt me to my heart. Hurt me to my heart. And I was already upset that day. I'm literally upset that day because of what happened at school. Teachers, I'm talking about, I'm arguing with teachers. I done had teachers in that day, teachers used to have them little sticks. They used to hit you on your hand, and I used to get hit for nothing. You feel me? Everybody around me used to do bad things. And I used to get hit for it. And I used to always contemplate it. And then I started just rebelling against the world. I hate you. I don't want to hear nothing from you. I don't want to talk to you. And I grew up that way, just rebelling against the world. And when I sensed that a person was in the world, I rebelled against them. And I've been that way all my life. Hence the reason why I've been having the problems. And I know the source of it, but I would rather those problems than the ones that come from the Most High. I would rather the problems that come from the world, the rebuke and the judgment that comes from the world, than the rebuke and the judgment that comes from the one who has the power to dissolve the soul in Sheol. Now, so I had bad thoughts, and my thoughts have always been strong. My thoughts and my feelings have always been on amplified. You feel me? And it's a pain, if I can explain it to you, from the solar plexus. Now that I know what it is, I didn't know what it was before. But there's a fire that burns right here, not in the heart, right here in the center of my being, that used to always burn on me all day long. And it used to make me fired up and angry. Now that I know what it was, I'm actually thankful for it. But we're going to get to that. But that fire used to always burn within me. And I used to get angry and fired up. I used to think I didn't belong, felt I had no purpose. All these things used to get on me, and that day it was amplified when that straw hit that camel back, and I did what I did and upset my mama, running around the house doing some childish stuff though, stuff that you look back and be like, man, I was just a child, but it still upset my mama. So here's the thing. I literally sat down and I told my mom, I said, Mom, I hurt people. And you're one that I don't ever want to hurt. Today I hurt you the most. So, I don't feel like I belong here, Mom. My mom said, boy, shut up. She hit me with that real quick. She said, boy, shut up. Come here. Gave me a hug. And hugged me and held me for a long time. And everything went away just like that. Everything went away just like that. But how? And that's when I answer the question how, that's when I'm gonna get to the highest level within you that you can reach. But I'm still going up. So we went from the world to the flesh, only to find out that these two things lie to you. Well, there's a third one within you that lies to you. And if you let it, it becomes a tool of the devil within you. And that's your own consciousness. Because if y'all really put the perspective together, you'll find out that the one who truly tempts you are the voices in your own head. The one who truly eggs you on and pushes you and peer pressures you is your own consciousness, not your flesh. Because your flesh just simply has an urge in it. But it's your consciousness that forms all of these urges into words that say, hey, take that drink, or do that drug, or there go that woman. Go ahead on and have fun with her for the night. Oh, you can get away with it. Oh, you not needed in this world. Oh, you have no purpose. Oh, this, oh, that, all bad things. Your mind is the thing that puts these words together and becomes a tool for Satan himself if you let it. Now, you don't want no tools within you that Satan can use at his own whim, do you? No. So now it's time to overcome. And let me see if I can put it to words as to exactly how you're gonna do that, because there is something higher than consciousness, and then there's something higher than that thing that is higher than consciousness, and you can go no higher than that. You can only become one with the thing that's higher than consciousness, and the thing that's higher than consciousness, which is within you, is I am. And you say it all day long. Even when you're contemplating, you say I this, I that, I am this, I am that. This is the one within you. And I am translates to this one specific thing. Your personality, your individuality. You see my finger? On my finger, if I can somehow focus, it's a bad camera, but there's fingerprints here that identify me. My eyes biometrically identify me. My saliva, everything about my individuality is identified and points directly only to me. You see, the Most High made each and every one of us, but then he made each and every one of us individuals, okay? And as individuals, we have the ability to direct, pick, and choose and order everything within our members, even as well as without. In our environment, surrounding our environment, everything within. I mean, you can choose to be afraid, or you can choose to have courage. You can choose to be lazy, or you can choose to work. You can choose to let this situation affect you, or you can choose to overcome. It's all on you. And the conversation you allow within your consciousness. Now see, consciousness is the place where Every every piece of information that you receive is evaluated, structured, formed, placed, or executed, or exiled, or pushed away, or shut up immediately. You see, because consciousness can speak, and because you can tell it to shut up anytime you want, you know for a fact that if consciousness shuts up, you still continue to live. So, because you can shut your consciousness up, and this is the one technique I'm getting ready to show you as to how to do that. But because you can shut your consciousness up, tell that thing, be quiet, stop telling me your lies. I see the information that you give me, useful information. I'll go ahead and use that information, and I'll order that information aright. But I won't let it have any power over me. You see, from the information that consciousness receives, there should be no negative effect. It doesn't matter what that information is. There should be no negative effect, because the Father would never give you a negative effect. You understand me? He promised you nothing but good, made nothing but good, and put you in nothing but good. Therefore, if you conclude bad, that's your conclusion and your inability to overcome, only because you lack the knowledge and understanding. And that's what I'm trying to give you right now. Knowledge to overpower all negative thoughts, all fear, all doubt, all bad circumstances. You feel me? Now, in the mind, there's always a conversation. And I used to always be, you know, everybody used to, everybody I know, when you see a person by themselves and it seems like they're talking to themselves, that's no different than a conversation that you have within your mind all the time. We're constantly, always talking to ourselves. It's healthy, actually, to do that. Now, it's healthy to do it correctly. And the only way to think a correct thought is to have place for the Father within you. There's no other way to have a correct thought, because you are not sufficient enough. And then that's when I'm going to get on that's higher than you, your individuality, your personality. It's the Father's individuality, His personality is always higher than yours, only to be a guide and to direct your individuality, to be a guide so that He directs your consciousness. Now, bad thoughts, when they come into my mind, I remember going through one of the worst situations I've ever been in my life. And that was the divorce that I had 2-3 years ago. I really don't care about the time frame, but I done had it some time ago. And here's the thing. The way it happened, how it happened, should have drove me mad. I should have been out of my right mind. But because of the knowledge and understanding that I had in the Father, and I learned how, when my mother hugged me, how I was able to overcome these bad thoughts. It's like a mother's hug, but it's far more intricate than that. And this is the one word I want you to keep in your mind: neutralization. Okay? When you neutralize bad thoughts, numb them in a sense. You know, when you're trying to carry a person and they go boneless, that's kind of how you do it in your mind. You, in a sense, you let loose. You put your hands down. You surrender, in a sense, not to the bad, but to the power of God within you. And you let that power show you that this situation isn't as bad as your contemplation has caused it to become. You see, things are not like how they seem because of the conversation we have within our consciousness. And look, let me tell you a situation that's going on right now, even at work. I work with some brothers, where I work with 5 brothers, with myself included, a 5-man team. Okay, and we clean. You know, this meat factory or whatever have you. We clean it, and I work with them. I have on my team 2 brothers that are absolutely lazy, and they do not realize it, neither do they know it, and they would defend it to the day they die. They have no idea, they have no clue just how lazy they absolutely are, okay? They would avoid work like it's nobody's business, okay? But their own, even though their avoiding work has an effect on those who actually work, okay? Now, there's a series of negative thoughts that could rise up in my mind with regards to these brothers being that way and leaving work on my back. But I have the power. I have the control in my dominion. Okay? So, this brother, though he has his own dominion, is still within my domain. Okay? So I have the ability to direct, power, and order the situation aright. Okay? And the first place to start was up here. Okay? Anytime you get to thinking negative about a person, neutralize it. What do you mean, brother? Shut it up. Go silent. Okay? Neutralization is also called this, according to a pious perspective. It's called holy silence. Okay? Well, you silence all business cares, all worries, all bad and negative thoughts with regards to someone else. You understand me? Because you're not supposed to, first of all, think bad about nobody. Okay? There's not supposed to be a negative thought within you with regards to anybody else. You're only supposed to be worried and concerned about elevating your own soul. Okay? Which is, you see I'm pointing to the solar plexus right now, so that now you know where the soul is, and it's coming directly from the solar plexus, okay, where it surges up a feeling within you, and then the consciousness, I don't mean to be pointing to my head, but the consciousness is a little bit above your head, okay? The brain only operates and functions on different functionalities and things like that, but the source is right above your head, okay? Of consciousness. And then right above consciousness is personality, your individuality, and it's with you all the time. Okay? And overcoming these bad thoughts takes, first of all, to shut them up. That's step number 1. It's to shut them bad thoughts up. How? Because you have the power to. Who is the one that has the power to? You as an individual, your personality, your individuality has the power to shut up negative thoughts. Just as it has the power to shut up negative information coming from the flesh. Just as it has the power to shut up negative information coming from the world. Okay? You have the power. And if man would only stand up erect, fear and doubt are the 2 sturdy asses, excuse my language, that hold men back, that keep them docile, okay? Donkeys in a sense, you know, that hold them back and don't want to move, okay? Fear and doubt. These are man's highest enemies, okay? And we must overcome these higher enemies. Okay? So, suicidal thoughts, if you have those, they come from fear and doubt. Because you contemplate circumstances. See, The mind plays many scenarios over and over within the head. Okay? I mean, you go over a multiplicity of circumstances, scenarios with which you could, which could, with circumstances that could actually happen to you. Okay, and then when the mind, when the mind hones in on the most negative circumstances, that's when fear begins to set in. Okay, now you must realize what's going on. Bad things, a low frequency has seized your attention. As it, a low frequency has dominated over your focus. Okay. Now the only thing that can raise your focus and attention above these things is your own personality, and your personality deals with truth and knowledge alone. Okay. The truth that the Father is omnipotent, okay, omniscient, omnipresent, above all, in all things. So the personality always clings to the Father, okay. In the personality says, Father, my consciousness is scaring me. My consciousness is telling me a lie. And then the Father will surge a power to you and say, stand up, my child. Look in the scriptures. How many times has he says, fear thou not? How many times? Gird up your loins. How many times? Be a man, right? Be a woman, right? You are a child, right? How many times? Ye are gods. How many times does the Father has to elevate you to personality above consciousness? How do you know that there's something above consciousness? Because you can take control of consciousness and shut it up. The one who has the power to shut up consciousness is operating from personality and personality alone. Individuality and individuality alone. It takes you individually to choose what temptations you want to overpower you, what negative thoughts you want to overpower you. It takes you to choose if you want to hone in and focus on those things. And listen at this. Whatever you give your attention to, you draw more of that nature, that essence to you. Kind cleaves unto kind. And what you give attention to, you become. The frequency you give attention to, you become. So you got to take your frequency out of that negative stupor and rise it in the Father. The highest frequency is love. Okay? And if you stay within this realm and within this frequency, negative thoughts, suicidal thoughts, any type of thoughts that come your way can have no entry within you. Have you ever silenced a thought before a thought even spoke within your mind? Personality does that. Personality is able to feel and sense when the thought is getting ready to speak and stop it right then and there. That would be the root of you. And that's where you all need to focus on annihilating sin, dealing with sin at the very root. Don't let it speak in consciousness. When you start to make your consciousness a holy domain, a holy place that allows only good thoughts to proceed, your whole anatomy is going to change. You are not even a animal natured being anymore. You are a human being. You are a living individual. When you stop negative thoughts, I'm talking about at the sensing of thoughts, not at the speaking of them. You got to go beyond the speaking, because if you let them speak, then they already begin to work their magic within you. Okay? So you got to keep them from even talking to you. Don't even talk to me. Don't tell me nothing. Get away from me. Get negative thoughts away from you. Get thee behind. Ain't that what Christ told Satan? You understand who Satan really was? Listen at the things that Satan was tempting Christ with. Wasn't it with worldly things, the same thing that this flesh desires? Didn't he see all the power within the world? Wasn't he dealing with the world at that point? And Christ was contemplating. I mean, you could only think of just look at where Christ was established. He had knowledge. He had understanding, right? Christ could have seized the world at that moment. He could have stood up as ruler at that moment. You know how many people were ready to follow him and go after him? How many people were ready to deal with Christ? But Christ had to deal with all those carnal and base thoughts. Dealing with pride and dealing with glory and dealing with luxury and dealing with all power and everything that deals with the lower self. Christ had to overcome that. And that's how you start to deal with all types of negative thoughts. Anything that you think that's negative, you can shut it off at the sensing of it, the feeling of it, before the words even speak within your mind. And that's when you become powerful. That's when you overcome. So, here's a negative thought. Stand up. Stand erect. Consciousness has no power over you. Consciousness is your tool, not the tool of Satan. It's meant to be your tool, the place where you go and counsel and evaluate and establish and realize and come to a conclusion and things like that. Consciousness is there for a reason, for your use and your use only. When you hear negative thoughts, say to yourself, who is this talking to me? Where did this negative thought come from? Listen at yourself. Evaluate yourself. Learn yourself. Know yourself. What is the source of these negative thoughts? It certainly isn't my father. When y'all finally realize that the Father means no bad, no ill will towards you, you will realize that the one who speaks negative is the one that he's been calling the adversary for a long time. You see, snakes and scorpions are the symbols of the enemies of man. And when these snakes and scorpions tell you bad things and poison you with their venom, anger arises, fear arises. You want to hurt somebody. You want to hurt yourself. You can't let it happen. You got to overcome because it's within you. Personality has a great amount of power. And when you order yourself aright and you stand within your right mind, you will understand, yeah, this information is coming to me. Oh, yeah, you want to tell me bad, but I'm the authority here. I don't listen to your resistance. I don't listen to your fear. I don't listen to your pain. I'm not listening to anything negative because I know for 100% fact that my God, my Father, would never send a single thing like that to me. And that's how you overcome. You stand up. And when you get tired of standing, you stand even still. Overcome your bad thoughts. Because that's all suicidal thoughts are. Bad. They only want to destroy you because they have become Satan's tool. Who is Satan? But the world and the flesh and all lower base things and incorrect thinking and error and ignorance of God. All of these things stand as adversaries against man. And so it's up to you to overcome these things. It's up to you to power over these things. And I believe in you. I know you're strong enough to do it. So stand up. Son of God, daughter of God, rise, O my soul, to still loftier heights. Unfettered be all thy wings. Shalom.